What if the reason you always feel out of place isn't awkwardness, insecurity, or being too different? What if that quiet sense of not belonging in rooms, in conversations, in groups, even among people you care about, isn't a flaw in you, but a sign that your mind learned early to live between worlds? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to explore a truth most people never see. Feeling out of place doesn't always mean you lack confidence. Sometimes it means you've grown in ways the world around you never learned to understand. There's a type of loneliness only certain people know, not the loud loneliness of being physically alone, but the subtle one, standing in a room full of people and still feeling like you're watching life from the outside. It's the quiet ache of sensing that conversations are happening on a level you're not tuned into, or that everyone else seems to know an unspoken script you were never handed. It's not a conscious choice. It happens slowly, softly, like drifting just a few inches away from the edge of a crowd, until suddenly you realize you're not really in the moment, you're just near it. People assume feeling out of place means you're shy, antisocial, or uninterested, but they miss something deeper, something almost invisible. You don't feel disconnected because you avoid people. You feel disconnected because you see the world differently than the people around you do. And here's the part no one ever talks about. That subtle sense of, I don't quite fit, isn't a weakness. It's a psychological response your mind developed to protect parts of you that the world didn't handle gently enough. There are signs that appear long before someone ever says, I don't think I fit anywhere. They're subtle, easy to explain away, easy to ignore, but they shape the entire emotional landscape of a person who always feels out of place. It often begins with small moments, a group conversation where you smile and nod, but feel strangely disconnected from what's happening, as though everyone else is part of an invisible rhythm you can't quite sync with. A laugh you imitate because you don't naturally feel it. A gathering you join but leave feeling more tired than fulfilled. A moment where you step into a room and immediately sense you're somehow offbeat, even if no one says a word. At first, these moments feel harmless. You tell yourself you're just tired, or distracted, or overthinking. But quietly, they begin adding up. Your body responds differently in social spaces. You stand a little apart. Your shoulders stay slightly tense. Your mind works overtime trying to read the room instead of simply being in it. Simple interactions begin to feel like puzzles. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing, or if you were too quiet, or too strange, or too distant. And while all this is happening externally, something deeper begins forming inside. A soft, persistent belief. Maybe I'm just not like them. Not because you dislike people, not because you lack social skills, but because the world often feels like it's designed for a version of you that you never learned how to be. So you drift, not physically, but internally. You start observing more than participating. You start thinking more than speaking. You start feeling like a visitor in your own experiences. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your mind begins whispering a quiet truth. You're here, but you're not really here, and you don't know why. What feels like confusion is often the earliest psychology of a person who has spent years feeling slightly misaligned with the world around them. If you're still here, take a second to notice something. The very reason this topic resonates with you might be the same reason you've always felt slightly misaligned with the world. And understanding where it began might help you understand yourself in a way you never have before. Let's go deeper. A persistent feeling of being out of place doesn't suddenly appear in adulthood. Most of the time, its roots reach quietly into childhood, into friend circle, playgrounds, family dynamics, and moments that seemed insignificant, but silently shaped how your mind learned to exist in the world. Maybe it began with the way you observed before participating, the way you watched other kids move so naturally in groups, while you needed a moment to understand the energy before stepping in. Or maybe it was the difference in pace. Some children jump into conversations without thinking, while you needed time to process, to feel the environment, to find your place, a place that often didn't appear. Sometimes it starts even earlier. A child who grew up in a loud or unpredictable environment learns to stay slightly alert, slightly withdrawn, slightly outside the center where chaos tends to happen. A child who felt misunderstood learns to keep a part of themselves tucked away, safe, hidden, untouched. A child who was too sensitive, too observant, or or too quiet begins to feel like the world isn't built for the way their mind works. Psychologists call this early social imprinting. Your brain takes emotional experiences and quietly creates templates. How groups work, who you need to be to belong, how much of yourself is allowed in a room, and when the world doesn't match you, when its rhythm is faster, louder, sharper than yours, your nervous system adapts in the only way it knows, by positioning you just a little to the side, not fully in, not fully out, just adjacent. It doesn't feel wrong at the time. It feels normal. It feels safer. It feels easier. And as you grow older, this early pattern evolves into something deeper, a quiet belief that you exist on the edges of every space you enter, not because you lack belonging, but because belonging was never modeled for you in a way your mind could fully recognize. When you spend years feeling slightly out of sync with the world, your inner world doesn't just become important, it becomes home. At first, it feels like a quiet relief. Inside your mind, things make sense. Your thoughts have space. Your emotions have clarity. You don't have to wonder how you're coming across, or whether you're fitting into the moment correctly. Your inner world is where the noise fades and the constant self-monitoring finally stops. But over time, something deeper unfolds. Your imagination becomes richer than most conversations. Your internal dialogue becomes more honest than anything you say out loud. You replay interactions, trying to understand where the disconnect happened. You rewrite conversations into versions where you feel understood instead of misplaced. You create your own rhythm, the pace that feels natural, the one that reality never quite mirrors. In this quiet realm, you don't feel out of place. You feel centered, aligned, whole. But this comfort comes with a subtle paradox. The safer your internal world feels, the more foreign the external world becomes. Suddenly, everyday interactions feel draining, not because they're difficult, but because they pull you away from the clarity inside your mind. Simple tasks feel heavier. Crowded rooms feel louder. Conversations feel like navigating unspoken rules you never learned. Your mind retreats deeper, choosing the space that makes sense over the one that constantly confuses you. And slowly, without ever deciding it, your inner world becomes so refined, so tailored to your emotional rhythm, that stepping outside of it feels like entering a place where you have no map, only instincts and guesswork. You don't withdraw because you dislike people. You withdraw because your internal world feels more coherent, more authentic, more you than any space you've ever tried to fit into. And that comfort, misunderstood by many, is often the very reason the external world begins to feel like a place you're visiting instead of a place where you belong. People often assume that those who feel out of place are socially unaware or lack emotional understanding. But the truth is usually the opposite. Many people who carry this quiet sense of misalignment have an emotional intelligence that is sharper than average, not because they're constantly in the center of social circles, but because they've spent their entire lives watching from the edges. Distance creates clarity. Silence creates insight. You notice things others overlook, the subtle shift in someone's tone, the tension behind a forced smile, the micro movements in a group's dynamics that reveal far more than words ever could. You read the room too well. You feel the emotional temperature within seconds. You sense when you're not fully welcome, when a conversation is drifting, when energy shifts under the surface. This sensitivity is a strength, but it comes with a hidden cost. Because the more deeply you feel, the more draining shallow conversations become. Small talk feels like static. Group interactions feel chaotic. Fast-paced socializing feels like trying to dance to music that's out of your natural rhythm. You're not searching for attention. You're searching for resonance, for the rare types of conversations where your mind doesn't need to shrink itself or stretch itself to match the energy around you. And yet, the more attuned you become, the harder it gets to tolerate environments where people speak without thinking, move without awareness, or connect without depth. Your emotional intelligence becomes both your superpower and the very reason you feel misaligned. You're not disconnected because you can't relate. You're disconnected because you relate too deeply, too sincerely, too truthfully in a world that often operates on the surface. People think you feel out of place because you don't understand them. But sometimes, you feel out of place because you understand them far more than they understand themselves. When you spend years feeling slightly disconnected from the world, a quiet shift begins to happen inside you, one so subtle that you rarely notice it until much later. You stop seeing yourself through your own eyes and start seeing yourself through the assumptions of others. Because society has a ready-made story for people who don't immediately blend into groups, who feel different, who stand a little apart from the flow. You're socially awkward. You're overthinking. You're too sensitive. You're not confident enough. You don't try hard enough to fit in. And even though none of these labels tell the full truth, hearing them often enough begins to leave a mark. So you start questioning yourself. You wonder why you can't relax in spaces where everyone else seems comfortable. You wonder if your silence makes you strange. You wonder if your depth makes you difficult. You wonder if there's something inherently wrong with the way you exist. And slowly, the mind fills in the blanks with interpretations that lean towards self-blame. You replay moments where you felt disconnected and label them as personal failures. You confuse emotional overstimulation with inadequacy. You interpret your need for understanding and authenticity as a lack of social skill. You mistake your difference for a defect. Then comes the loop. The more you doubt yourself, the harder it becomes to feel natural around others. The harder interactions feel, the more out of place you feel. The more out of place you feel, the easier it is to assume that people see you as other. And the more you assume that, the more distorted your self-image becomes. It's a cycle that almost no one notices while they're inside it, because it unfolds silently, internally, beneath the surface of daily life. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken. Your sense of misalignment isn't proof that you're flawed. It's proof that the world often rewards the loud before it understands the observant, and embraces the familiar before it appreciates the nuanced. Your self-image isn't broken. It's shaped by a world that isn't built for people who feel deeply, think widely, and move gently. Before we continue, pause for a moment. If you've connected with this so far, it's not because the words are relatable. It's because they're naming experiences you've carried quietly for years. You're not out of place. You're out of sync with a world that moves at a rhythm your nervous system was never taught to follow. Let's explore why the modern world intensifies this feeling. There's another layer to feeling out of place that most people never consider. The world around you has quietly magnified it in ways that previous generations never had to face. We live in a society where everyone is expected to adapt quickly, speak effortlessly, belong instantly, be more social, be more outgoing, fit in, blend, match the vibe. But for someone who processes slowly, feels deeply, or sees the world through a slightly different lens, these expectations don't inspire, they exhaust. So you start doing something simpler. You stay in the spaces where you don't have to perform alignment to feel accepted. But then comes the digital world, a place that promises connection, but often amplifies disconnection. Your feed becomes an endless stream of people who seem perfectly at ease, laughing in groups, traveling in circles, living in rhythms that look effortless to them and foreign to you. You're not jealous of the people, you're jealous of the ease of belonging, of blending, of being understood without translating yourself. Online spaces become both refuge and reminder. Refuge, because you can exist on your own terms, with fewer social rules and less emotional noise. Reminder, because every scroll quietly reinforces the idea that everyone else knows how to fit in a way you never learned. Technology gives you connection without presence, interaction without intimacy, visibility without belonging. And slowly, almost invisibly, the modern world turns your internal difference into a perceived deficiency. You're not struggling because something is wrong with you. You're struggling because society is built for people who follow the rhythm, not for those who hear the music differently. And in a world that values sameness, feeling different becomes a quiet weight you carry alone. Here's the part most people never get to hear, the part that might finally shift the way you see yourself. Feeling out of place doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're lacking something that everyone else was born with. It doesn't mean you're destined to be an outsider forever. It means your mind has been navigating a world that wasn't built around your pace, your sensitivity, or your depth. Your disconnection isn't a flaw. It's a response, a deeply intelligent one. Your mind wasn't malfunctioning. It was adapting. It was protecting the parts of you that needed gentleness, patience, and understanding, long before you had words to explain it. But here's the turning point. You don't need to force yourself to match the world's rhythm. You just need to find the spaces, the people, and the environments that match yours. Because belonging isn't created by fitting in. Belonging is created by being understood, even by just one person, even in just one moment. Your healing doesn't require you to transform yourself into someone more extroverted, more confident, or more normal. It only asks you to make small, gentle expansions. Saying something you'd normally keep inside. Taking part in something small instead of something overwhelming. Letting someone get to know one more layer of you than you usually reveal. Not because you need to change who you are, but because you deserve to live in a world that meets you where your soul actually lives. People like you, the deep observers, the quiet thinkers, the ones who sense more than they're ever told, often build the most meaningful connections once they stop trying to fit into places that were never aligned with them. You are not behind. You are not odd. You are not out of place. You are simply waiting to meet the people and the environments where your natural rhythm isn't a mismatch. It's a strength. And if today's video made you feel seen, understood, or a little less alone, there's another part of this story that connects directly with your experience. Many people who always feel out of place also find themselves gravitating towards solitude, home, and quiet spaces where the world finally feels manageable. If you want to understand why that happens, watch The Psychology of People Who Love Staying at Home. It completes the picture you've started uncovering today. Before you go, share your story in the comments below. You never know who you might help feel a little less alone. And if you want to stay connected to this corner of the internet where deep minds and gentle souls are finally understood, make sure to subscribe. This world might have made you feel out of place, but you belong here.